Hello, this is Debbie Kay with the League of Women Voters of Portland, and you are watching Video Voters Guide. We're here at the MetroEast Community Media Studios, and we are talking with candidates running for the May 2018 primary. With me today is Sheri Malstrom, running for State Representative District 27. Sheri, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Good. First of all, tell us about yourself and why you're running for office.
Well, I'm running for re-election. I finished my first term this last cycle, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I want to do it again. But the reason why I'm running for re-election, basically is the same reason I ran initially, was I have an experience of being a public health nurse for the last 30 years and working in the community with families, and I see a tremendous need for policies that help communities and individuals. I saw it from a personal level. I was widowed when I had 3 little kids and saw, what communities can do and can to help and to not help, people that might be struggling a little bit. I saw it a lot in my 30 years as a public health nurse, and now I see it as a legislator, how we can really make a difference. So want to continue doing good work.
Thank you. What steps will you take to ensure that more Oregonians are qualified and hired for Oregon jobs?
Well, there are many things that affect, the job market, but primarily the biggest thing that I think that makes a difference is a quality education. That has been a big priority with me, is to make sure that our schools are fully funded. We know that students need to adjust to an ever-changing economy for a 21st, century economy, and we can't get stuck in the past. There are, there's many things that would help, but the biggest thing is we need more revenue. We need to fund the things that we know that work. We need to have adequate, sizes of our classrooms. We need to make sure that we have the physical infrastructure, the human resources things, but also things that make a difference for students, like school lunches, things like that, school services that are desperately needed. Because if those kids don't get those things, they don't learn well and they don't become productive members of society. So we need to really focus on that. And for those students that may not be seeking a secondary education, we may need to make sure that those people too have good jobs. Everybody needs a good job at some point, and that's what our schools will do for that. And we have an opportunity to be leaders in this with some innovative education models that we have. We have lots of good resources. We just need more funding to fund them.
Thank you. Oregon traditionally has a budget shortfall. How will you want to address this challenge?
Well, it kind of goes back to, we need to have tax reform. Our state has had this problem for some time. We need to address that. Mm-hmm. You always have to be careful with your spending, and there's always things that we can look at there, but ultimately we need a better revenue system. Oregon is growing at a fast rate, as we all know, people coming in from internationally as well as all over the country. And that presents a whole nother set of issues, from transportation needs, housing needs, all those sorts of things. So we have to address those along the way as well. Again, a better revenue system. But I think we're in a good position to be a national leader, to show the rest of the nation how we have dealt with our using our strong economy to make, a good infrastructure in the future.
Thank you. Well, speaking of infrastructure, what do you recommend to make Oregon's both infrastructure and population more resilient to seismic, flood, and wildlife disasters?
Well, we've had, some crises in our state, and we've kind of responded. We've had the last legislature and the one before in 2015. We've made some upgrades. We've had HB 2687, which is a Lend-Lease program for local grants for communities to be able to do emergency responses. But we need, again, more revenue. We have a lot of competing things, like I mentioned before, education, all those sorts of things. So we need to invest in that. I'm also proud that our Oregon senators have, fought for us to get some additional funds for the fire season, for not only fighting fires, but also for, the prevention of forest fires. We have done seismic upgrades and things for, communities, for schools and public buildings, but it's not enough. We need a greater amount of funding for that as well. The last thing I would say is that we need short-term, medium sort of term, and long-term planning, because we can't get it all done at once. So we need a big, plan. And I do think that it would be something that we should look at is utilizing the Oregon National Guard for, planning purposes for, for seismic events and forest fires as well.
Thank you. What else, what other priorities do you have in the legislature?
Well, as a public health nurse, I sort of see everything through that lens, of what, affects the communities on a larger scale. I think we need to have better health care for everyone. We can do it at a lower cost and cover more people. We're in a state of flux. We have great CCOs. For a quarter of our Oregon population is on Medicaid, and we funded health care, and they're doing a really good job of providing health care, and I think we can learn from that. I think we need to continue to be a leader. I was very proud to be involved in some of the healthcare things we've done, from looking at ways to be transparent about healthcare costs, to making sure women have reproductive choice, all sorts of things with healthcare. So I would like to continue to serve on the healthcare committee. I've also served on early childhood, and family supports committee, and there we look at young children and what's the best way to promote the best outcomes with children. There's lots of ways that if we invest in children early, we don't have as many problems with adult citizens later, if we can take care of, again, the social determinants of health. So, and also I've been able to serve on the Ways and Means Committee, the subcommittee that looks at human services, and mostly that's Department of Human Services, as well as DHS, and making sure those agencies are being the most effective they can be. We've had some bumps along the road. Things are kind of smoothing out, I think, and making sure we're on the right track with those large, important agencies.
Thank you. We are running out of time, and I appreciate your having come. This has been Video Voters Guide. Thank you for watching. The primary election is Tuesday, May 15th. Be sure to be informed about the candidates and about the ballot measure, and to get your ballot in on time. Exercise your right to vote. It really matters.